Chapter 11, Cybercrime and IT Security.
This is section 3 of 4, Trustworthy Computing and Risk Assessment.
The learning objectives for this chapter will look at the key trade-offs and the ethical challenges associated with trying to ensure that a company's data and information systems and technology are protected. And we'll look at the process for managing security vulnerabilities based on reasonable assurance. You can't foresee everything, but you can foresee a lot of things, and for those items you need to set up a security plan.
Trustworthy computing is a term first widely used and shared by Microsoft's Bill Gates. In 2002, he said that trustworthy computing was the highest priority for Microsoft. Like other critical national infrastructure, water, electricity, nuclear, trustworthy computing should deliver secure, private, and reliable experiences based on sound business practices. As Gates said, customers will always be able to rely on these systems to be available and to secure their information. Secure and private. Users should be in control of how their data is used, when and if they receive information from others, the use of email they send. Gates said if Microsoft has to choose between adding features and resolving security problems, they need to choose security. Available when customers need them. No more system outages due to a software architecture that supports redundancy and automatic recovery. Self-management should allow the service resumption without user intervention in almost every case. Reliable, designed into the software development process. Data protected from harm and used only in appropriately and explicitly granted ways. There's good reason for trustworthy computing becoming so important. If you look at 2000, 6 billion people, 389 million of those used the internet, and there was some malicious software, but it was limited or minimal. If you go up to 2012, we have increased our population by about 1 billion people, and we have increased our internet users to about 2 billion people, up to about 35% of the population. And malicious software continues and will continue to be a problem in the future. We haven't yet reached trustworthy computing for all, although we have made strides. However, risk still exists, and to help with that, organizations must complete a risk assessment that allows you to carefully consider potential threats and assess them for importance. The goal is to identify the best investments of time and resources to provide maximum protection from threats that are likely to occur. Risk assessment requires you to carefully catalog all of your assets, which include hardware, software, information systems, networks, databases, and other information assets owned by the company. Finally, you need to determine the impact when a threat materializes and focus on those threats with the highest total loss potential. The steps in the risk assessment process include: identify important IT assets. What's important for you and your organization? Identify loss events of possible risks or threats. If a threat does occur, what is the harm that your organization may suffer? Assess the frequency of events and/or the probability of the event occurring. If there's a very low probability of an event occurring, you may be able to concentrate fewer resources on the potential threat. Ascertain the impact of each occurring threat. If the cost of a risk that materializes is very high, you may need to devote substantial resources to keep it from occurring. Assess the feasibility of implementing mitigation. For instance, you can't stop a hurricane from coming, but you can have an inland, off-site, hot and/or cold site ready to go in the event of a hurricane. Ensure cost effectiveness by performing a cost-benefit analysis. Concentrate resources in the areas which have the highest risk and the highest potential loss event, and for which you can develop controls to mitigate the threat. Finally, make decisions. When, where, and how will you implement countermeasures to optimize your protection from threats? To summarize, trustworthy computing, first espoused by Microsoft in the early 2000s, is a method of delivering secure, private, and reliable computer experiences. It emphasizes the importance of a strong security system with policies and procedures implemented to help prevent security breaches. Trustworthy computing also includes a reaction plan in case of intrusion that notifies all who are affected and recovers from the loss. Trustworthy computing is difficult to implement and requires an organizational-wide ongoing effort. Good risk management goals evaluates the valuable information assets within the organization, the damage that may be caused by losing access to the asset, and how to recover from loss.